Well, welcome everyone to the 39 Gen podcast from Yosan University. I have a really awesome guest with me. Now, would you like to tell everyone who you are and a little bit about what you do?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me on today. I'm absolutely thrilled and grateful to be here. I
That's
am
awesome.
Dr. Natalie Kilheeney, and of course, a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine practicing here in South Bend, Indiana. I have a very busy integrative wellness studio with multiple locations and a farm, 10
That's right.
acres, where we practice shamanic retreats and different things here.
That's amazing. And this is cool because again, and this is something that I want to start playing up. Like the people that so the 39 Gin podcast name came from the idea that the students of Yosan are the 39th generation. They're the inheritors of this great tradition that goes back. The Dr. Mao and Dr. Tao are the 38th gen, and this is we are the 39th gen. So it's really beautiful, and to hear about your journey, and I got to know you because we studied at Yosan together a few years ago. I'm not going to date myself, but we studied a few years ago. How did you how did you find the practice of acupuncture? What was it that called you to the medicine?
Yeah, great point. It's definitely a calling from within oneself.
Yeah.
And for me, I was not happy in the career path that I chose. It wasn't fulfilling to me. So I wanted to find something that really lit up my spirit and I felt good about going to work every single day. And so I was kind of already on that path. And when I walked into Yosan, I just knew that I was meant to be here. And I just had the courage to listen to it and walk through that door.
That's awesome. It is really that, what was it? There's always these opportunities that are presented to us, but not every day do we have the ability to say yes, to say, yep, I'm going to do this. This is the right thing. So it's so awesome you did. When you were studying at Yosan, what were some of the favorite things? What were the things that you really enjoyed about school and learning?
Well, it was the first time in my life that I found other like-minded individuals. So for me, it was the community.
Yeah.
And that really opened up my mind to the possibilities of what we could create, with this medicine. And just going through the Chi program and, allowing myself to go within myself was huge for me because, I grew up in small town, middle America with a lot of mindset blocks, if you will, limiting
Yeah.
beliefs, fears, and frustrations that I had to overcome. And so what
Yeah.
that allowed me to do was to start me on that journey internally within myself.
That's awesome. Well, it's beautiful because that's the whole point of the chi cultivation. That's the whole point of doing these things is to learn about yourself. Now, I love that you talk about community because there is such a great community at Yosan. But one of the things that you're pointing out, and I love that what you had said in our a little bit in our email back and forth was that you have built your own community now, that people come to your community for healing. Talk to me about how you've created this new community there for your patients and for, it sounds like, the community at large.
So, when I graduated, it's almost like the universe was like, time to go. And
Yeah.
I was sort of on this hero's journey to bring the medicine back home. So this is the area where I grew up, and it's not really, it needs more of what we do. So it was an
Yeah.
opportunity to become a trailblazer to bring this sort of medicine to an area that's underserved, which comes with its challenges and its perks.
Yeah.
But creating, a community like we had at Yosan here in the Midwest, also did the same thing for the people here that I experienced out West.
Yeah. Which is huge. It's like there is power in it, but yet there are communities that so need this. And I remember that there was one of our classmates, I can't remember who it was, and they were like, I want to take acupuncture, but I don't think this area would support acupuncture. But what you're telling me is there was a demand. There were people that were like, yeah, love this and I want to do it. Um, how did you get started? How did you get started building your practice? You moved back to where you were at, where you were from. What were the first steps to get things going?
Well, I think it's just following the path, and I call it the heart path.
I love that.
It's following that internal compass within yourself, your intuition. And so for me, I started working on a team of other acupuncturists. So I worked for somebody else right out of school, which, really honed my skills. I was able to, you know, dive into certain conditions and treat complex conditions with more confidence. And so from there, I opened up my own practice with one treatment room
Yeah.
and really just getting out into the community and talking about what we offer. People are really looking for options other
Yeah.
than taking more drugs and surgeries. So that's something our medicine does beautifully, especially for chronic conditions and things that people don't have answers for.
Yeah.
Our medicine works beautifully. So, I just took one step forward. And as we grew, I now have 35 practitioners that
It's amazing.
practice different modalities on my team. And we are the go-to place in my area for all things mind, body, spirit, wellness.
And see, that's huge because you did it. Like you're doing it. That's the cool part. Like you created the thing. And one of the things that's really interesting with that is, because it's like, how do you go from just stepping out of school and you have loans that you have to pay back to suddenly you've got this thriving business? How did you go from, was it just baby steps from point A to point Z, or how did you do it?
Yeah. It is one step in front of
Yeah,
the other, but it's important to have a vision
I
and,
love that.
connect to your purpose of why you're doing this in the first place. And as you're able to connect to that within, it's almost like the universe supports you on the path and you start to grow.
Yes,
So that's essentially how I did it. And just believing that it's possible, that we are
I
allowed
love
to
that.
create the world that we desire.
I love that. I love that because it's like surrounding yourself by the intention and by the people that actually say, yes, you can. I'm going to create this practice. Yes, you can. But you're right. There is so much that's important in having the vision. Now, as you were getting going, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced when you were building your clinic? What were the things that you were not prepared for?
Good question, because being an entrepreneur means to always have the ability to adapt and pivot and expect the
Yes,
unexpected at all times, really. Uh, so challenges, failures, obstacles are always going to be a part of your everyday kind of experience. So it's having the ability to solve problems,
I love
to
that.
figure things out and keep on moving forward, really.
Yeah, because there's no perfect path. It's all gonna kind of. I like to remind myself because I'm a small business owner and I've been building my media business for a while. Things can be messy, but that doesn't mean you're still not making progress. You're heading in the direction and you pivot. So I love that. Now, you have a practice with 35 different people, but you also have, how many clinic locations do you have?
Right now I have two clinic
It's
locations
awesome.
and again, a 10-acre farm where we
That's
have
awesome.
different retreats. And the farm is a little bit different, right? Like, so we immerse ourselves in nature where you can, put your feet on the earth and,
It's so
connect to
powerful.
the stars or the Big Dipper, the moon, the sun, feel the breeze on your skin. And so when you're immersed in nature, you're more connected to yourself. And that's what it's all about, because we as humans, I feel like, have lost that connection to who we truly are within. And that's why we're having, different problems and diseases that pop up, because it's at that spiritual root that disease forms. So just doing those simple things of connecting to oneself is important.
I was in traffic today, and behind me, um, the person behind me, actually, I was had gotten through traffic. I had one person run into me on their motorcycle today, and I had another person that was I was loading my daughter into the car, and we were getting into a taxi. And door was open, and I was loading my daughter and her two cousins into the car, and the people behind us were just honking, beep, beep, beep. And I'm like, I'm getting kids into a car. Like, why are you honking? And my wife and I commented about something, and we said, people are not made to be stacked on top of each other. We are made to be in outside in the sun, under the stars. We're made to be breathing in the smells of nature. We're made to be, refreshing ourselves every day in that natural wonderfulness, and we don't do it. And you can see the dis-ease, the disharmony begins to arise when people get out of balance. And I mean, and that's the beauty of Chinese medicine. The fundamental, you start off, you go to our textbooks. What's on page one? Yin and yang theory. Yin yang, it's like this idea of a balance of harmony. So, yeah, I love that. I want to come visit your farm. It sounds amazing. Well, tell,
Yes,
tell me what,
anytime. Welcome up.
that's rad. What are some of the things people can do at your farm?
Well, we host a 5-day intensive camp out. It's run by the Center for Shamanic Studies, and we do things like sweat lodges,
That's awesome.
ecstatic dance events. We do some shamanic drumming where we'll take the frame drum and beat 180 beats per minute so we can balance the theta waves in the brain,
That's
which show that puts you in a state of lucid dreaming. And that is the state where you can connect, inside yourself to your guides, to find better clarity, to answer questions, to just kind of connect you along that heart path.
I want
We
my own
do witness.
farm. This is awesome. It's
Right?
amazing. It's amazing. It's such a great concept. But like, here's what I love. Can I? I'm gonna interject because Natalie, this is awesome. Like, Doctor Natalie, how we were in school, and you start off and you got these books in front of you, and you're looking at it, and you know you're sitting there going, I hope that I can get a business. And then you've got two clinics and a farm that's retreat that's doing these amazing things. What was it that was the key to your success? What was the secret sauce that you did that made this so successful?
Yeah. Well, it goes back to the simple principle of working on yourself, because we
Mm,
are the artists, the creators of the world we wish to create. And
yeah,
so I had to do a lot of self cultivation, a lot of internal work on myself. So I'm able to be in alignment with what it is I want to manifest. And once you're in alignment, the universe has your back. It starts to bring people along that path who share the same vision. It starts to open doors that you thought maybe were never really possible. It's really not limited to the brains that we have here in this world. It's more unlimited on what we can create and what is
I love that.
possible.
I love
So
that.
I just had the courage to keep on, to say yes and to take that risk and to move forward versus, staying stuck or stagnant in a space of fear.
I
So
love
it's
that.
just having the ability to keep on moving forward.
There was a I have another podcast that I am doing that's all about money. And I know this is the Yosan podcast, but I'm going to reference something that one of the guests told me. And she said this really interesting thing. She's a expert on the energy of money, Dr. Mary Nesmith. And she said that when you start working one area of your life, the cool thing is that you're working everything. So if you say, I want to be better at business, and all you got to do is start, you can go and start meditating more. And that's going to be beneficial because you're getting yourself into this place of, I'm going to work on this one thing and it affects everything. I'm going to work on my relationship. I'm going to work on my belief that I can achieve more. And then everything starts coming into place. So I love that. Absolutely love that. Now, I want to ask you this. Talk to me about, how did you get into these shamanic practices, and how have they influenced your approach to Chinese medicine?
So, well, I mean, what essentially is a shamanic practitioner? And the answer is, like a shamanic approach takes into the consideration of the spirit. And, what is the spirit? It's, everything that drives us from within. So our emotions, our thoughts, our creativity, our ability to connect with others, it's our essence. It's who we are and how we think, and our lifestyle habits contribute to that as well. So Chinese medicine at its core, at its very foundations, has shamanic principles to it. So, in ancient China, the shamans of the day were called the Wu. And I don't know if like the woo woo factor, if that's, related to that. I don't know, but it sounds kind of fun, right?
Right?
Uh, but they were represented by a symbol that looked like a cross or crossroads and little like ledges around the edges. And it's a depiction of two people dancing around a pole, maybe practicing Qigong. And so Qigong is another form of creating an altered state, or connecting you into a static state to find, answers within, or to move the energy within our bodies, to connect to different organ systems, all of that. And so even the way that we treat, if we're moving the needle counterclockwise or clockwise, or the five elements, represented in two, as we, work with them, we're working with elements to find balance. And so these are all very shamanic principles at its core. So we're
Yeah,
already doing those things, and just it's a calling, I believe, that, as I started to accept that about myself and to explore it more deeply, again, I was presented with opportunities of other people just kind of coming in my life to teach me more.
I love
And
that.
so it's just about being open to receiving that. And as I explored it deeper, I was presented with more opportunities along the path to connect with other people who also have an interest in shamanic practices.
I love that.
Yes.
That's really cool. And it's interesting because, but how do you incorporate those practices into your treatments, into your retreats? How do you bring them in? Are you, is it fully integrated, or are you, this is Chinese medicine, this is shamanic, or are you really finding a synthesis of these two traditions?
Yeah. So, yep, I think they synergize very nicely together. I use herbal medicines in my clinic to where I might use Palo Santo or moxibustion to cleanse a space to move out negative energies. Uh, we have had people come in and do like a cacao ceremony, which is a sacred, you know, chocolate plant from
That's
South
awesome.
America. Or we might use herbal medicines from a Chinese medical standpoint, like just roguei or cinnamon helps to connect to the heart center. So it's really just kind of like different ways of looking at the same animal, if you will.
Right.
Um, using sound medicine and the frequency of sound to connect to oneself. And we've done that in multitude of ways, whether we're using crystal bowls or actual like gongs or
Yeah.
the frame drum again is a
Yeah.
huge that we use in our drum circles. And these are all just tools, again, like Qigong and ecstatic dance. Uh, Ecstatic dance is more in the shamanic wheelhouse versus Qigong and Chinese medicine. So it's really just what connects with you to get you to that state of connection.
I love that. Now, what advice would you give? What advice would you give to practitioners who want to explore the shamanic roots of our medicine? Where should they look, or what did you look into?
Well, I think it's just important to have an open heart and
Mm,
an open mind. Uh, the shamanic path or the heart path, as I call it, is not for the faint of heart. It can be
mm,
difficult and challenging, just like anything else in life, but it's important to, trust yourself and to honor yourself and that everything is really sacred and just to, be aware of the sacredness of all things.
I love that. There's the it's like there's that quote, when the student is ready, the master will show themselves. It's like, if you're really ready for this path, it's almost like you just have to open up and embrace it. Now, you've done
Exactly.
sorry, you've done over 60,000 treatments. What insights have you gained from about treating really diverse conditions?
Yeah, that's a lot of treatments, right?
Right? That's a
So,
lot.
I love this medicine. This medicine just really blows my mind. And, administering over 60,000 treatments, you learn a lot about people and chronic conditions and even diverse conditions that can be difficult. But really, it just goes back to those basic principles that we learn in Chinese medicine school. And as long as you are keeping it simple and straightforward and really just going to the root of the problem, we can treat anything really that way. I mean, I've seen a lot of different conditions, but there's always that one person that comes in and I'm like, oh, I've never seen this before. Can I treat
Hmm,
this? And, the answer is usually, yeah, it helps so many different things. So.
that's awesome. What type of conditions do you see the most where you're at?
Well, being the go to place, we see just about anything and everything.
Hmm,
But chronic pain conditions is probably number one. So, back pain, sciatica, neck pain, hip pain, knee pain, things like that. But I also recently have taken a affinity towards helping women have healthy babies.
that's
And
awesome.
that's been really rewarding and special to be able to help families with that dream and balancing hormones and things like that. But that's the majority of kind of like people come to an acupuncturist for chronic pain and chronic conditions, I would say.
Yeah. And are there any cases or experiences that you had that shaped your approach to patient care, or the way that you start approaching patients? Are there any ones that really stand out?
You know, every single one
Yeah.
of my patients really have an impact on me in different ways. There's just so many cases that I'm just blown away by, from people going through 9 rounds of IVF to incorporating acupuncture into having a healthy baby,
I love that.
to people being in chronic pain for 30 years to having zero, to patients having migraines every single day for 20 years and experiencing zero after, taking medications and going to this doctor and this practitioner with little to no answers or relief. Um, Blood pressure just normalizing, and just people being able to have options other than, what they've been presented with, and options that work and help
Right.
people. And, it's just been an honor to be able to serve, my community in that way.
One of the things that I love about acupuncture, and it's the fact that you're getting treatments right away. You're getting solutions right away. So often people are just so used to, I have the pain and, there's not much that makes it better. But with acupuncture, you're walking into the clinic and within an hour, within 30 minutes, you're probably sitting on the table getting a treatment that actually is going to reduce pain, is going to make you feel better. So it's so powerful for that. Like, you're going right into solutions, and that to me is probably the best thing any medical practitioner can do, is to provide solutions to their patients, to provide true, like, you've got pain. Oh, well, let's get that from a 10 down to a 5. And then the next, session, it's a 5 down to a 3. And that's a win. That is such a huge win.
Huge win.
Yeah. Now, where do you want to be going with this? What's your vision for the future of integrative medicine in regard to your clinics?
Good question, right? I think it's important to honor, our medicine and the essence of our medicine. We are
Mhm.
moving more, and I've seen this over the last, at least 11 years since I've been in practice, is we are moving more into like a Western medicine model. And that's beautiful. It's great. That's what we want, is to come to the table with the efficacy and
Yeah.
success of our medicine. But it's important not to lose the spirit, the
Yes.
soul, the essence of our medicine, to where we're meandering into something that we're not. And so I think the shamanic aspects of our medicine are super important. And
Yeah.
the practice of chi cultivation and all of those things remain just as equally important as, where our medicine is growing to.
I love that. It's like knowing where we've come from, knowing the background, knowing the roots, knowing the foundations. And I love my Western medical classes, but at the same time, man, going back to those TCM diagnosis classes, going back to those foundational classes, I really love the power of you can sit there and go, this person's dealing with heat. They've got a heat condition. Let's treat that. The pain is manifesting in this way, and you have a treatment for it. So I love that. If you could give some advice to new practitioners trying their path in this field, what type of advice would you give to new practitioners?
So, Lao Tzu had a great quote, and it is, "He who conquers others is strong, but he who conquers himself is mighty."
I love that.
So, yeah, it's a great quote, and it's all about, you're going to face, mountains outside of yourself, and you may be successful at that. But again, it goes back to the idea of working on oneself. Everything is derived from within yourself, and that's reflected in the outside. So it's like, as above, so below, as within, so without.
I
So
love
just
that.
knowing who you are, having an open heart, continuing to work on yourself, to be resilient, to, not be bound by fear, and work
Yeah.
more in a love-based center. and to believe in yourself and to know what's truly possible, because anything's really possible. We just, put these limitations within our own mind. So
Yeah.
it's continuing to work on oneself and go out there and bring the medicine. It's beautiful and it helps a lot of people every single
Yeah.
day.
Are you teaching at all, or going to be teaching more in the future with your experience and sharing with students what you've been learning?
I would love to teach more at my clinic. We have obviously a studio where we do events. I just don't have just acupuncture, but we do yoga, Pilates, and massage. But in my yoga studio, we do different workshops, and I do teach qigong and other events
That's
throughout the
awesome.
year. But I would love to expand more and share my knowledge and wisdom with our entire community. So yeah.
That's awesome. When did you do your doctorate? What was it that inspired you to go back and become a doctor?
Well, I am a forever learner
I love
and
it.
I geek out and love this medicine. I mean, I just love learning more and more about it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I went back to school, and ironically, it was during the pandemic. So I had to run my business through that time while getting my doctorate. And
Wow.
that was also kind of a one step in front of the other
Yeah.
journey. But just again, I wanted to, I always want to better myself so I could be the best version of myself for my patients and my community.
I love
And
that.
so that's what getting my doctorate represented to me. And so, yeah.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Where would you like to go with this as the continual learner? Are there any new things that you would like to explore or anything like that?
Yeah. I mean, really, the sky's the limit. And I'm just going to keep on growing and, doing whatever it is that I'm meant to do within this calling. And whether that's, I'd like to travel more. That would be amazing. And maybe there's a possible book in the future. So,
Oh, what would you like to write a book about?
well, I would love to share the knowledge of everything that I've learned from, acupuncture school until now, and the journey that took. Because people look at it and they say, "Oh gosh, that must have been easy." In reality, it's not. So if I can help another man, give them a leg up and mentor them where maybe I didn't have it, then I'm, doing good work.